And this is what I love about software. Like, removing aspect of a work, you can always put it back later. Because we're using version control, we are free to like experiment in a way that other disciplines don't quite have the same flexibility with. So each stream, we do a little bit of reading from The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. This book has been so inspiring to me, and last time was no exception. This, of course, is also published as a podcast on Apple Podcasts, so I hope you enjoy. Here is Essence from The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. All the work we do, no matter how intricate, holds an underlying essence, a core identity or fundamental structure, like a skeleton supporting flesh. Some call it an isness. If a child draws a picture of a house, it may have a window, a roof, and a door. If you take away the window and look at the picture, it's still a house. If you take away the door, it's still a house. If you take away the roof and the outer walls and leave the window and door, it's no longer clear whether it's still a house. In the same way, each piece of art has a unique, life-giving feature that makes it what it is. It might be the theme, the organizing principle, the artist's point of view, the quality of the performance, the materials, the mood conveyed, or a combination of elements. Any of these can play a role in forming the essence. If a sculptor makes a work out of stone or out of clay, the experience of that work is very different. Yet a work of stone and one of clay can have the same essence. Yeah, I guess you could kind of make the same looking statue out of either of those materials. Reading on. The essence is always there, and our job in the craft phase is not to obscure it. A work's essence may also change. From the time you start until the time you finish. As you refine the work, add elements, and move pieces around, a new, different essence may emerge. Sometimes you may not yet know the essence when you're engaged in the work. You're merely experimenting and playing. When you end up with something you like, you may come to realize what the essence is. Distilling a work to get it as close to its essence as possible is a useful and informative practice. Notice how many pieces you can remove before the work you're making ceases to be the work you're making. Refine it to the point where it is stripped bare in its least decorative form, yet still intact, with nothing extra. Sometimes the ornamentation can be of use, often not. Less is generally more. If you have two units you want to put together, whether it be two sentences or two parts of a song, there can be a tremendous amount of power in doing so without using a transition. Try finding the simplest, most elegant way to put a point across with the least amount of information. If there's any question as to whether an element serves the piece, it's probably a good idea to let it go. Some artists get superstitious about removing aspects of a work, as if it will make the project evaporate before their eyes. So it's worth remembering that anything taken away can always be put back later if needed. And we have a quote here. Perfection is finally obtained, not when there's no longer anything to add, when there's no longer anything to take away. Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, Wind, Sand, and Stars. And I guess there's a little bonus quote here. In the end, the sum of the total essence of our individual works may serve as a reflection. The closer we get to the true essence of each work, the sooner they will somehow, at some point in time, provide clues as to our own. So this is fascinating. I guess this is the edit phase, which I guess he says is in the crafting phase. For those of you just joining, his phases of creation are seeds, kind of gathering ideas, experiments, trying out an idea and seeing what happens with it, crafting, now that you know what you're doing, go ahead and doing it, which is in programming the bulk of the time, and then publishing, making it public, wrapping it up and shipping it to the App Store, for example. So I guess he's putting this essence finding as part of the craft phase, not part of an experiment or of ideas, because I guess in experimentation we're still kind of expanding. And at least for me, I tend to pre-edit. I tend to edit often while I'm talking or like while I'm doing something. I think I edit too much in order to find its essence. How does he say it? Like saying something in the least amount of information? Like that's my default. I'm personally trying to find a way to elaborate more and give more information. Although, of course, this reminds me of Project Runway, of the judges saying, you need to edit. This dress has way too many ideas. And I guess also in terms of making an app, once the first version is out, often we're just adding more features. And at some point, I wonder if there's features I could take away from my app. I know even in our coding session today, I chose not to add color to the output, even as pretty as that would be, because I don't want that in the binary. I don't need that extra. And I guess I could do it only in dev, actually. That'd be pretty fun. But once a product has been published, I guess when you remove something, I expect people to kind of react strongly in a negative way, like I was using that. But I guess this feature that I'm working on now, like making my own IDs for the trains, because the MTA doesn't offer unique IDs, sadly. It's usually unique, but again, sometimes they duplicate IDs, or sometimes they change the idea of a train while it's underway, which is feels bonkers. And this is what I love about software, like removing aspect of a work, we can always put it back later. Because we're using version control, we are free to like experiment in a way that other disciplines don't quite have the same flexibility with. Putting the soft in software. I guess I'm still kind of in the experimenting phase for this project, this Train IDs project. And looking at my notes for it, this is something I do want to keep in mind as I go. I do want to create the essence of these of my system to track these trains, because if it's overdone, it's going to be hard to change in the future. I do want kind of the minimal amount of stuff to track a train, which is going to be the goal in the programming phase here. I guess going back to removing, like you can always put it back in. Like in the opening story where he says taking the roof off, it's not clear if it's a house and maybe you do need that roof. Like taking away database fields, like we were doing moments ago. Like what is the smallest number of things to identify a train? Yeah, this is a nice little chapter.
I know it's what I've been doing with my editing.
Like, what's the least amount of editing I can do and it still comes across as a full Q developer stream, as a full Q developer podcast? Because I've got so much going on and I don't have much time to put into the video editing. When you end up with something you like, you may come to realize what that essence is. I do have a new phrase to share with you all that I absolutely love, that I think captures the essence of something I've been trying to express for a while now. And it's cheer for each other, because I'm cheering for you and you're cheering for me. And I feel like that's the message I'm following. I'm cheering for everybody to have a good life, that their obstacles become easier, that they have an easy time navigating them, and that they cheer for other people too. I feel like if everyone cheers for each other and it's not so competitive, we can really make some cool stuff together. I am trying to form a creative community. What do you do with people who don't cheer for others? I don't know. I don't know yet. But there's plenty of examples of that in the world, and I don't want to be one of them. Well, thanks for joining me for this exploration of Essence. Again, this is Essence from the Creative Act by Rick Rubin. It's been a transformative work reading through this, and I've loved sharing it with you all.